flowers speak for us when we can't find the words to say what we mean? We all know that flowers can say thank you, or well done, or even I love you. But can they also mean welcome or have courage? According to this completely beautiful new book, The Lost Flowers of Alice Hart by Holly Ringland, they absolutely can. The language of flowers has a long history in Persia and the Middle East, but it was in Victorian times when it first began to be developed in England. Seriously, look it up, it's called florography and it's fascinating. In the Victorian era, it became popular to send secretive messages using bouquets of flowers, and whole florography dictionaries were published. So it was building on this tradition that Holly Ringland developed her own language of flowers, specific to the flowers of her native Australia. In her novel, the main character Alice Hart suffers a trauma and finds herself unable to speak, but through the language of flowers, she slowly heals and refines her voice. I'm going to be speaking to Holly later on in this video, but for now, I wanted to go and have a look at some of these Australian flowers myself. Here at the Ventnor Botanic Garden on the Isle of Wight, they have a spectacular range of Australian plants and flowers. Australian flowers are so different from the flowers that we're used to in the UK. Just look at these amazing shapes and colours. Looking at these flowers now, I can totally see how Holly Ringland and her character Alice Hart found these flowers to be so expressive. Throughout the novel, even as Alice finds her voice, she continues to use flowers as part of her healing journey. So next, I wanted to get hands-on and see the therapeutic powers of flowers for myself. And luckily, the London Flower School were willing to oblige. My day at the London Flower School was so much fun. I can now totally see why working with flowers is such a therapeutic activity. Working with all these really beautiful flowers just made me be really mindful. And I got this gorgeous bouquet out of it to go in my house. So once I'd finished my bouquet, I really wanted to look up what the different flowers mean in the traditional Victorian language of flowers. And I found that peonies, this one I've got right here in the middle, mean a happy marriage. And delphiniums, these gorgeous tall purple ones, mean flight of fancy. These very unusual looking flowers are called nigella, or love in the mist is their other name. And the meaning for those ones is you puzzle me. I love the idea of giving these flowers to someone as a way of saying you puzzle me. I couldn't resist putting some cute little daisies in there, and those mean innocence. And then round the outside, I don't know how well you can see while it's still all wrapped safely up, I put some olive branches in, and those, of course, mean peace. So I'm really happy with the meaning of my bouquet here, and I really love the idea of using flowers to say how you feel. But now I've learned a little bit about the language of flowers, it's time for me to talk to the expert, Holly Ringland herself. Hi Holly.
Hi,
Thank you
Emma.
so much for being here today. So at what stage did you start kind of thinking about the idea of the language of flowers?
I came across the Victorian and European language of flowers. It was a 19th century craze that swept Europe. People in sort of middle class to upper class households would have dictionaries of European flowers to speak sentiment and emotional expression that was too hard socially at that time to say to one another. But what really got me is that there were also flowers for sentiments like you are insincere and a curse upon your home. And that idea of a language of flowers so wholly dimensional that it would communicate the whole scope of emotion. And so I thought, what if I made up a language of Australian flowers? And Indigenous Australian plants and flowers, they've had their own meanings for thousands of years.
So I was going to ask, when you came up with the meanings for them, was that was rooted in kind of meanings that they already had?
The flowers or the plants or trees in Australian flora that I attached to meaning was largely influenced by the metaphoric growing habits of the flower. So like one of the main flowers in the novel is the Sturt's desert pea, and they grow in the desert, so they survive and flourish in the harshest of conditions. And I sat and I thought, well, that feels like courage. And so the Sturt's desert pea, for example, is have courage, take heart.
Do you have a favourite meaning in the book?
I have 5 tattooed on me. Actually, that's a lie. I have 8 tattooed on me. So I have the Sturt's desert pea.
Yeah.
which means have courage, take heart. And then this is the grevillea flower, which means foresight. Bat's-wing coral tree flower, which is cure for heartache. The Cootamundra wattle, which is I wound to heal.
Yeah.
And the desert heath myrtle, which is thryptomene, and it means flame I burn. Feather flower, which means tears, and flannel flower, which is what is lost and found, and sticky everlasting, which is my love will not leave you.
Yeah. Why do you think that flowers have such therapeutic powers?
I think it's because as humans we have an inherent fascination and connection to the cycle of life and death and life. It is that constant reminder that regeneration is possible. The story is never done.
That's so lovely. I never thought of it that way. That's so lovely. It's really great to talk to you.
Thank you so much, Emma, and
so
thank you everybody and anybody that's listening.
And do give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and leave a comment below if you have any questions for Holly. We can ask them to her.
For sure.
And do subscribe to Book Break for new videos every Thursday. Next week we're going to be going on a literary tour of Yorkshire. See you next time.